Hey everyone, this is Britton here. For those of you who are new to the group, welcome. There's a whole bunch of videos now that you can watch down below that'll be great for information. Today we're going to be talking about video game addicted kids. I keep getting that question when new members subscribe or join the group. You know, sometimes they leave a question, and a lot of people want to know about video game addicted kids. We've talked about this a little bit more, the problem with video games, down in one of the other videos on motivation. But today I want to take a little bit different angle at it. But first, if you're new to the group, welcome. My name is Britton LaTulip. I'm the author of the Art of Raising Children for Greatness series, which is going to be 5 books. Right now, there are 2 out. One is Revealing School. That's to talk about, it's thick, it's good. And it's to talk about some of the issues with traditional schooling and encourage you, hopefully, to homeschool. And then the other book, which has just come out, is Education. And the next book will be Character, and that's going to be coming out here hopefully in a few months, sometime this summer. I'm also the author of some children's books. I write and illustrate them. Dino Hunt is probably my most famous children's book. It just released it a few months ago, and it's going crazy on Amazon. So welcome to the group. Today we're talking about video games. We've already talked about video games being a waste of time, and they're super addicting, and so kids love them, and it's really hard to compete. If you're raising your children for greatness and you're trying to get them to read the classics, or you're trying to get them to focus on their schoolwork, and video games are available, it's really hard to compete with video games, because video games they're designed by experts to be addicting. So a bunch of people get in a room, and they find a way to create a game that isn't something your kids want to do in moderation. They obsess over it. They think about it all the time. And their goal is to get you invested in that video game, get you to buy things within that video game, and to want to play the next level and level up and keep playing. So you're competing and playing with fire. So video games, I'll have a recommendation at the end how to deal with it. But they're not just a waste of time. TV is a waste of time. Sometimes, it's a form of entertainment. It should be saved for holidays and weekends, but so a kid watching TV all day long, that's a waste of time. Video games are actually a little bit worse than that, I think, because it's not just passive entertainment. Every kid, when they're born and they start to grow, every kid wants to be great, which we talk about in the book. Every kid has a sense of greatness. They want to be a hero. They want to go out into the world and make a difference, leave their mark on this world. So they have this hero complex in them. It's actually a good thing. It will push them on towards greatness. The problem is when they get a hold of video games. Okay, video games take that hero complex that most kids have. If you hear that screaming, by the way, that's not a child. That's actually our peacocks. I don't know what's going on right now, but they're squawking all the time. So just so you know, the kids are not in danger. That's the peacocks. But kids already have that sense of greatness. They already have that hero complex, especially little boys. Every boy wants to rescue a princess. So that's why there's so many books about that storyline. It's funny, I was leading a youth group one time, and it was just boys in my group, and I just made some joke. I'm like, you guys are teenage boys. I already know every one of you has this fantasy that you want to, rescue some pretty girl someday and fall in love. Or there's that pretty girl in the high school, and you fantasize about, rescuing her. She's in some sort of danger. So that's a normal thing. Every boy and a lot of girls, they have that hero complex. They want to achieve great things. And when video games come into their life, they actually get that. It's actually kind of dangerous. That's why it's so addicting. Because a boy can play a video game and he gets that sense of achievement. He's leveling up. He's battling. He's doing battle. He's conquering bad forces in the world. Men are kind of drawn to the military, that soldiering, which is a good thing. It's why men want to protect their families. It's a good thing. They're protective. But he's getting that sense of fulfillment from ones and zeros, from digital code. It's not real. He's leveling up. He's achieving things not in the real world, in a video game where it doesn't matter at all. He even gets to rescue beautiful girls, the most beautiful girls. He gets to rescue them. So it becomes very addictive. He's actually living or fulfilling his hero complex in an artificial way. It's a false sense of achievement, but it feels real. Okay, video games really do trick the subconscious. They feel real. I was playing, I play Risk sometimes online. I like Risk. It's a strategy game, it's thinking, but I was playing Risk, and I got caught up in this. My heart was racing, and you have a limited time to put your pieces on the board, and I realized, I am sweating, wishing and hoping. I've got so much emotionally invested in this Risk game. It's just a game, but it actually affects my my body and my motivation and stuff like that. I'm like so passionate about this video game. Like, man, it's stealing my passion. I need to be out there writing my books for people. I need to be creating the Blue Manor Academy site. I don't have time for this energy draw. So they are very addicting, and it really is a sense of achievement without achieving anything. It's important to know, if your kid is addicted to video games, that's normal. There's probably nothing wrong with your boy if he's obsessed with video games. He's a natural boy who wants to go out there and conquer, and he's getting to do that in a digital world. He's getting to build an empire, and he's getting to achieve greatness and rescue princesses. Those are all real and good life goals, things that fulfilling things. But he's getting it in an artificial way, and that's why it's so dangerous. That's why you have 30-year-old men, and they're still playing these video games in dark rooms. Like, dude, grow up, like join the real world. Well, he's getting real world achievement. So it really is dangerous, but I don't want you to think there's something wrong with your boy. Like, oh, he's addicted, he's just lazy, he's unambitious. He's not an unambitious person. He's ambitious. He's going out and doing battle. He's getting that sense of fulfillment from these video games. It's not the boy that's the problem. It's the video games. And I say the same thing about sports. Sports are so dangerous because every boy and girls, and I want to include them too, I'm just speaking from the boys' perspective. When I was in high school wrestling, I would have died to win the state championship. I had injuries and I just pushed through them because in my mind, I'm suffering to achieve this great thing, to bring back a trophy for my school and be honored. And you got all those beautiful cheerleaders that kind of like the princesses that you're achieving greatness for them and your school and stuff. So it becomes this obsession, and it's a good motivation, internal motivation. The problem is the focus is wrong. It doesn't matter if you can put a ball in a hoop. In the real world, you haven't actually accomplished anything. That's why those things are dangerous. And when we talk about raising children for greatness, we want to take that same passion, that hero complex, put it into things that are actually matter in the real world. And bringing home a trophy for your school is not a big deal. It's not going to change the world. It's not going to cure cancer. We want to take that passion, that hero complex, and put it into things. We talk about faith. We've talked about this in other video guys, and you should read the book. But the 4 life pursuits: faith, family, finances, so your wealth, and your health. Those are the 4 great pursuits of life. The 4 things that actually matter, contribute to your sense of fulfillment the most. So we want to take that hero complex, that drive, and put it into those things. We can't let our kids get diverted into video games. I say the same thing about sports. Kids will become obsessive with sports. It's like their career. It's their profession. They're training as if it's a profession. It's going to be meaningful in the future. It's not. If you can put a ball perfectly in a hoop, it doesn't matter unless you're going to try to be a professional athlete, which talk about that in the book. You might as well win the lottery. You probably have a better chance of winning the lottery than becoming a professional athlete. And even if you become a professional athlete, I talk about that in the book, most professional athletes barely make a living. We always look at the Michael Jordans who are just raking it in. But for every Michael Jordan, there's tons of other professional athletes, even in the NFL, that don't make very much money, and they get injured fast, and they're out in a few years. So that's not a career choice. We don't want our kids perfecting putting a ball in a hoop because it's not a real skill. It's fun. You can do it sometimes, but that can't be your profession. We want professions that will help us achieve greatness in the long run, help us build wealth. It can't be playing all the time. So anyway, so that is the problem with video games. They are very addicting. There's nothing wrong with your boy. People get around the room and they brainstorm and they test it scientifically to make sure that when kids play this, they get hooked and get sucked in and they feel invested and they get a sense of accomplishment from it. That's what video games are, and that's why they're so dangerous. Okay. So what do we do? And I'm going to make these videos shorter, by the way. I'm not going to ramble all the time like I do sometimes. That's why I'm just focusing on video games today. So 2 strategies. First of all, you can get rid of video games. There's nothing that says your kid has to have video games. I think if your kid is never introduced to a video game, it's a better thing. It's like soda pop. Your kid doesn't know what they're missing until they have it, and then they want it all the time, and it's really unhealthy. So just don't introduce it. That's one option. That's not what we do, but that's one option. The other option is to get rid of all the bad ones. And I don't just mean inappropriate like Grand Theft Auto. I mean ones that have no secondary purpose. They're just a waste of time. There's a game, The Dragon Lair. It's just a silly video game. It has no secondary purpose. So get rid of all of those. Your kids can play them at other people's houses on holidays and weekends as a form of entertainment. So I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that's a form of entertainment. We don't want that introduced to our house, so our kids are always thinking about that. Those I'd say are the bad ones. And I don't mean bad as in they're inappropriate. I just mean they're entertainment. There's no extra value. Then we can introduce good video games because, again, video games can be addicting. They can be super motivating. So if we get our kids the right video games, it can actually support our movement, what we're trying to accomplish here. Let me give you an example. Actually, I'm borderline with Risk because Risk is a strategy game. It takes some intelligence, some thinking. It's actually a good game. Chess, another one. You can play too much chess. I do think that. My kids, they're state champions, and some of them want to go to nationals and stuff like that. I don't know if I want them to go to the next level because they're super good. That's great. It's thinking, but to become a national champion, you have to obsess. I don't know that I want them to obsess over chess. I'd rather obsess in a different career angle. So, introduce good ones. We have geography apps. This is pretty much all my kids play. There's an app I've talked about before. It's Prodigy. It's a math app. My kid's obsessed with it. We actually have to cut him off. My little 5-year-old wakes up early. He's so advanced. If you've ever been so advanced, he's obsessed with this game and leveling up his characters. But it's math, so it works, right? So we have geography ones. My girl got really into some sort of spelling app thing. I don't even know, but it's a spelling app. Okay, that kind of fits what we're trying to achieve with greatness and education. So we can actually use the video games to our advantage and that hero complex, that sense of accomplishment, but we have to be really careful that it's actually accomplishing something within the realm of their education. I hope that makes sense. It can't be, I'm trying to think of a video game. I guess Grand Theft Auto, but that's inappropriate for other reasons. But just the point is it doesn't accomplish anything, Grand Theft Auto. It's just a form of entertainment. Pac-Man, there we go, Pac-Man. Pac-Man's super fun. I love Pac-Man as a kid. It's a form of entertainment. If your kid gets addicted to that and is trying to level up, it accomplishes nothing outside of that little video game. But if your kid gets addicted to Prodigy, he's still learning math. So it's not so bad. So those are the two strategies. One, get rid of all the bad ones and allow the good ones. And then you also have to set limits. I even have to with the math. I'm like, dude, I know you love Prodigy. You can't only level up in Prodigy. You can't only do math all the time. So we do have to set limits because, again, it's still addicting because he's addicted to leveling up and he gets rewarded with these. Again, it's ones and zeros. It's all digital. It's not real, but he gets pets. He gets in Prodigy. You get these dragon pets or something. My little 5-year-old wants to collect them. So he's becoming addicted. So we do have to set limits even with that. But at least he's addicted to math in the form of a video game. Okay, so those are your 2 tips today. The other thing I want to say is that sometimes we see kids and they get criticized because they're so hyper-focused. Like, that's all they care about is that stupid video game. They play it all the time. They're not just addicted, but that's all that they care about. Don't they care about anything else? Well, actually, that hyper-focus is good. It starts to happen in teenagers, and it's actually a good thing. It's preparing them for like a career path or something like that. That hyper-focus is good. It's actually one of the disadvantages of public school because they don't allow it. They break up kids' time, make them study all these random generic subjects that don't necessarily lead to success in a career. So hyper-focus is good. We just need them to be hyper-focused in the direction of a career path that can actually provide for a family someday. So like my daughter is kind of hyper-focused with writing. She wants to be a writer. We already know that that's in her future because she'll probably work for Blue Manor. That's my dream. And we need writers. And she's also hyper-focused with art. And that, again, that goes. Writing and art goes with our kind of overarching family goal. It's our business. So she has a future in that. So it's okay that she's hyper-focused in that. Hyper-focused people make the most money. The guy who's a jack of all trades, who knows a little bit of art and a little bit of writing, he's pretty good at writing, knows a little bit of math. He's not worth anything. But the person who hyper-focuses, maybe they don't know anything, but they're like a Michelangelo in art, they'll find employment. So that hyper-focus isn't the problem. It's only a problem because it's hyper-focused in video games, which accomplishes nothing. You're not building an empire. It's ones and zeros. It's all an illusion. That's why video games are so dangerous. But that addiction, that kind of addictive focus, not the problem. Same with sports. It's not the drive. It's not that the kid only cares about sports. He's going out there working for hours, and most people like that. But that's a good thing. It shows he can focus. It shows he wants to achieve greatness. He's willing to work and sacrifice for it. Where it becomes an issue is it's sports. It's a ball and a net. Not a lot of professional options. You're probably not going to make it. And then you've mastered this skill, and then you go out into the real world, you have to get a different job. Now you have to start all over mastering a different skill, and you're behind the kids who are smart in the beginning, strategic in the beginning. They've been mastering, you want to be a writer? Well, they've been doing that since they were 5, hyper-focused, the way you were about basketball. So they win, and you're going to struggle. So anyway, we talk about more of that in education, The Art of Raising Children for Greatness, education. If you want to know more about it, you can find that book on Amazon. If you like the book, please leave a review. We only have 13 reviews. That's not good. We need more. I know we've had more people read it than that. It's done pretty well, but so if you have read it, please leave a review. All right, guys, thank you guys so much. I'll be back next Wednesday. Hopefully you guys understood what I was talking about. If you guys have any questions, just leave them below. You guys' questions are always the topic of the day. So if you guys leave questions in this group, I will address those questions first. If you guys don't ask a question, then I'll pick a topic. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.